project manager. They are very beneficial to construction sites, whether it's a new build or a renovation. They're basically, I guess, a good way to put it would be conductor of an orchestra. They get everybody lined up. They know the timing that this particular trade has to be on site to do his job. How long, roughly? The schedule can change a bit for sure, but how long it'll take for that trade and to have the other trade ready to come in after this other trade's done and that kind of thing.
You're listening to the Art of Making a Home podcast with Sandro Stefanucci, a home builder with over 37 years of experience in the industry. This series shows you the construction industry from the contractor's perspective. As well, what is it really like to work with the many different types of industry experts like interior designers, architects, and subtrades? And a lot of our friends in those positions are going to come on during this podcast and have a discussion with us about what it's like to work with the contractor and really what is it like to build a home. We all want to share our expertise with you so you can make the right decisions when it comes to wanting to build your dream home. So let's get started.
Hello, beautiful people. It's Sandro Stefanucci, and today on our podcast, we're going to talk about project management. Most people, I'm sure, have heard the word project management and what is a project manager. Unpack that a little bit and the role of a project manager and the benefits of using a project manager. So first off, what is a project manager? Usually, it could be the contractor, builder that actually does his own project management, or it could be a separate project manager that works for that company. And they're in charge of most of the time budgeting, planning, and scheduling. That's what their three main tasks are to do. And that may vary also depending on what company they work for. Some companies will have a project manager that doesn't do the budgeting. They'll do internally the budgeting, so they set the planning and the scheduling up for the trades. That kind of thing. So they can play different roles in that, but basically that's what a project manager is. They are very beneficial to construction sites, whether it's a new build or a renovation. They're basically, I guess, a good way to put it would be conductor of an orchestra. They get everybody lined up. They know the timing that this particular trade has to be on site to do his job. How long, roughly? The schedule can change a bit for sure, but how long it'll take for that trade and to have the other trade ready to come in after this other trade's done and that kind of thing. And then communication with the customer as well. There is softwares that companies use that will help along with the project manager, and it'll show scheduling and who's up next on the, come in and do their part of the job. So they do that. I've seen a few jobs go bad with having a project manager that really didn't know what he was doing, and it's not necessarily his fault. He just hasn't been trained properly. There's things to look out for, I think, for contractors alike and even hiring a project manager. The schooling that they get, anybody can go to, say, BCIT, which is a technical school that teaches project management. And it was interesting. I was just talking to a director of the trades in one of the schools in Saskatchewan province here in Canada. We were talking about the knowledgeability of a lot of different trades and project managers and so forth. And I said, well, a lot of these guys don't really know what they're doing. They're coming out of school and they're managing these jobs and they're not going well because they don't have the practical experience of being on site and actually learning from a builder or from somebody that already knows how to do it and what to look for. And he said, it's true. He said, we only teach them 20% of what they need to know. You guys are responsible as builders and contractors to teach them the rest. So another example of one going bad, just not that long ago, we just did some work to fix up There's one new build, another builder asked me to come in and help out. The project manager I think they had two that went through that, and they were apparently really bad. The scheduling and the timing of the different trades, it just was a mess. So you end up being more of reacting to problems and situations when you have something like that go bad, and the scheduling just went out the door. It was like really, really far behind. Very important to have a project manager that knows what he's doing. And also project manager, could clash with a customer as well. So matching project managers with the client is very important as well. So those are kind of some of the things to look out for. If you're looking at getting a home built or a job done, is like, you get along with your project manager because you'll be spending some time with them. Typically, you would get whoever your contractor you're hiring. I mean, it could be the contractor yourself, so you might be lucky. And if it is, that's great. Probably already had some kind of relationship with them, already going through the process of planning and so forth and getting plan and design done. So that's great if you have him as a project manager. If you don't, and there is, companies that have multiple project managers, so I guess the question to ask is like, just don't take anybody, make sure that you get somebody that you mesh with, right? I don't really know what to tell you. It could be a difficult situation if you don't get along with that guy. I've seen that happen many times before, and it just doesn't end up working well. If you're thinking about a contractor, builder to do your job, maybe that's a question you should ask. You have a project manager. Are you going to project manage it? Who's going to do it? Say a customer would ask builder, if you're looking at that builder, contractor, who's going to be part of the team? Who am I going to be working with? Because typically, you're not working with the builder. Typically, you'll be working with a project manager. So definitely find that out early on, not after the fact, because it could be a problem. So some of the benefits of construction project management, the efficiency and productivity. So it definitely improves process. A guy that knows what he's doing will get the trades lined up when they should be lined up, inspections done when they should be done. Job will go smoothly along, and then you'll get hopefully, a job that there's no whole lot of delays on. I mean, the delays happen. There's no two ways about that. You can't get around that. There's things that always pop up. But for the most part, you try to keep things on schedule, and they'll know where they can tweak things to, we'll get two crews doing something so we can get this part of the job done a little quicker because we fell behind because of this thing happened here. Somebody that can really think on their feet and be able to problem solve, right? And that's what, we do. And that's what we are good at here at Abstract is problem solving. And I think that you'll find that with any good company, good at problem solving. So project manager that knows how to problem solve is crucial. And for project managers, communication is definitely, again, it goes into like when you meet your project manager, right? You'll know off the bat, like, can you communicate well with the guy? It's one of those things you want. You got to communicate well with them. I don't know if all project managers do communicate that well, but I think you really have to get along with the customer and communicate. And it could be different ways of communication too. So whether, you're on top of the ball, hey, you know what, I text the person, and say, hey, the guy's coming over here. We had to get over there. So he needs to come over. So just giving you the heads up, stuff like that. So guys just don't show up on the site. Sometimes that communication involves some bad news, and learning how to deal with that, whatever. You could, hey, you know what, this framing part, or if you're doing a renovation and you opened up something, and you open up a can of worms and they'll say, this is what we got to do, fix it and stuff. So being able to, again, problem solve and be able to know, the ins and outs of framing, even bits of electrical and plumbing and stuff like that. So that communication, that you're confident that they're confident that you're confident that you know what you're doing and what you're talking about, being able to quickly, assess those situations and deal with them. So again, it's problem solving, communication, and then, being able to relay stuff like that in a way that it doesn't make it sound like it's the end of the world. When I hire a project manager, what I look for as a builder, obviously is experience, right? And I can train that. And I think that's what's really lacking I see in this industry is from my, what I've seen, and I've seen enough of being around almost 40 years now in the business. A lot of builders don't have that practical experience. They're good at running their business, but they might not have that, on-site framing, whatever. There's just things that you need to know as a project manager that, you can train somebody and you can teach them. So if you say you got the schooling and they got the 20% down, I can teach them. But if you don't have somebody that can teach them the ins and outs of construction and, what to look for, and, even be able to get on the tools and be able to swing the hammer in case, you're down a guy or something like that, and you need to do some stuff. I think for me, I look for that. So he needs to know how to frame. He needs to know carpentry. If you don't know carpentry, I'm not going to hire you as a project manager. That's number one right off the bat. So if you know carpentry and you know project management, I can train you on the rest, and you can do that. So that what I would look for sure is that he knows carpentry, because that's a bigger part of any job. You need to know how to build a house or do a renovation. So if you know framing, then we can teach you project management. Let's just recap a couple of points here. One big point is that get to know your team, whoever it is, if it's a build or a renovation, get to know your team well that you're going to be working with. That's number one right there. The rest, I think hopefully I've covered enough here in this that give you some good pointers for project managers. And so glad that you guys are listening. If you guys would like to learn more, go to abstracthomes.com, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have, give you some strategies, no obligations at all. Again, you can get in touch with us at abstracthomes.com for any other questions. So glad you guys are listening. We'll talk soon.
You're listening to the Art of Making Home podcast with Sandro Stefanucci, a home builder with over 37 years of experience in the industry. This series shows you the construction industry from the contractor's perspective, as well as what it's like to work with the many different types of industry experts, such as interior designers, architects, and subtrades. In addition, we'll be discussing challenges that we have encountered and what other industry professionals can learn from those stories. We'll be covering such topics that many people do not consider before building a home. Like, what can your property actually allow? Is your property located on a steep hill? Where is the location? What will the municipality enable you to construct? It might not be as cut and dry as you think, so let's get the conversation started.